Hey, Doug, how are you?
Good. I want to talk about tariffs. It's not sports.
Anything with these stupid sports betting spaces.
Oh God.
Good
Yeah.
night. I mean,
It's just people are telling me it's like, oh my God, look how many games are on today, and I'm like, it's because baseball's back. All right, just don't get over your head.
right.
And then all this stuff in Vegas now with these basketball tournament that just automatically started, which I have no clue what it's for or whatever. It's just like a single elimination, and I'm in Vegas right now, so I'm kind of just
Oh, nice. How long you there for?
well, I actually went to Reno, so I went to the Run Good
Oh,
series,
yeah.
and I ran into Brittany, and she was doing a lot of T tournament directing stuff, and
Right.
then she played in the main, and then didn't do too well because she didn't bag. So,
Bummer.
but yeah, and I was like, well, it's a $600 entry. I was like, but I'll tell you, I made money playing video poker, so I made like 4 grand doing that, and I'm like,
Nice.
and I covered all my buy-ins, and I'm like, and I still had my, and so I made that all a profit. Then I had, and I already spent my money so I was really good. I did really well. So, and then I come back to Vegas for 2 days, and because I met a tournament or I mean, a dealer at the, and the dealer was like, hey, I live in Vegas. You want to ride back? And I said, sure. So he gave me a ride
Nice.
back, and I kind of learned the inside world of like traveling dealers, what it's like, and it's very interesting what they
It's
they're
not an
always kind of,
easy. It's not an easy life.
yeah, well, they're always going to different spots and stops, and one of them said, like, yeah, while you're not working, you should be claiming unemployment because that's what's the real thing. And he was telling other dealers like what you should do and what you should. And I'm like, God, somebody should make a YouTube channel, the life of a traveling dealer, and what that's like, and well, how to save money here and there, and because I mean, a lot of these guys were just renting Airbnbs and trying to find their way because they're there for like a full 8 days or whatever it is. So,
Right. And they
and
try to, share the lodging with others. That's
yeah,
the best thing they can do for themselves is to share a hotel room or share an Airbnb or whatever,
absolutely.
you
And
know?
then they get to eat. I guess some of the casinos do provide some like snacks and meals, but that's like in a like a snack room, break room. But other than that, I mean, they're there almost 8 hours a day and dealing every tournament, and then some of them there's like 2 or 3 going on, and it's just a lot of work for them. I get it, and then they're all watching all these people make a lot of money, and it's like I'm thinking like, gosh, they probably wish. And then, but sometimes the dealers do play in some of the tournaments. If like one of them was like a tag team, they offered. Remember, like they
Right,
had it.
right.
Then the other ones. But I mean, I so as close as I got, it was the main. I guess it was the opener, and yeah, I got the bubble. So because I remember them hearing,
Oh,
well,
oh,
because they paid top six, and I got an eighth, and then when they got to seven, they started agreeing to pay the seventh place, and I'm like, God damn it! And I'll tell you
darn
what
it.
happened was, I'll tell you what my finishing handoff was. I raised maybe three and a half, not near 4 times the big blind, but 3 times the big blind with kings. I got called with pocket deuces. The board came out Jack Queen Deuce, and
Oh,
somebody had the set, and I'm like, are you? I'm like, I guess I didn't raise more because I'm like, if you're gonna call with pair of deuces, like I should have raised, I should have gone all in, I guess. No, no, I don't, now I kind of understand, but I was trying to look for value, and but and I was looking for somebody to have something better. And then where I really ran bad was the last event. It was like a 10K, and I raised with queens, right, and I got called, and then well, some guy raised. I re-raised him with queens. He flat calls, and then the board comes out, ace, queen, deuce, and there's 2 clubs out there, right?
yeah.
So, anyways, I check over to him. He makes it like 2,000, whatever. I say I'm all in. He goes, "Do you have ace queen or something?" He's like, "I think I have to call." He calls with ace king off,
Oh,
and then the turn comes to jack and the river at 10, and I'm like, Jesus.
But you know what? He's just the guy you want in that hand. He just got
I
lucky.
know exactly. Yeah, I know. He starts going the speech. Oh man, God, you had a great hand. I'm so stupid to call. Great win, great win. And then I'm like I don't even want to hear that. Like, stop it. Like,
Exactly.
and then it all just. And then I'm like, oh. And then he's like, he barely had me covered. And I'm like, wow, because I had a over the chip
It's
stack, and it's like,
annoying as hell.
yeah, and then I'm kind of like, at least I ran good playing video poker and other things. So I'm like,
I love it.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with I'm gaining some more experience and I'm meeting some great people. I'll tell you one a great woman that's in like poker and the tournament director is Shannon. I forget her last name. I think it's Kearney something Kenny. I think Shannon Kenny. Do you know her?
Shannon Kenny.
Yeah.
Maybe if I saw her.
She runs the poker room at Atlantis. So she's like the director of operations. And
Oh,
she's been there for like 14 years.
I wonder if she's in the.
Or 9 years, or 9 or 10 years or something.
I'm wondering if
She's an Asian woman. She's like a wonderful person too. She's smart and she's
nice.
she knows how to take and she like made sure and she's on top of everything. She makes sure. The only thing that she was saddened about is that the casino won't buy new chips because some of the chips are very faded, right?
Right.
And there's a problem between like the $100 chip and the $1,000 chip, and they both look alike. And so I preemptively made a raise to like 3,300 when the blinds were like through 2 and 300, and I was like, oh, I did not mean to do that, and it was because I was mistaken by the chip color,
Right.
and because it's very, it just one looks what. But anyways, she said to me, I was talking with her, and she said, I was like, how much is it to get a new stack? She says $80,000,
Oh
and I said,
yeah.
oh my God, for a new set, and
Because
and
the
so they're
amount of
already running.
chips they need. I mean, just they need
But
so
they don't
many.
run enough events. They run maybe one event a
Right.
year of Run Good, and then so like a place apparently I think like maybe like and they just don't want to fund it. They just said, hey,
Right.
look, that's not in our budget right now for a to do that. But I guess if they had a WSOP stop, circuit event, maybe then they would might have more of a advantageous to
All
get
right.
another chipset or
Sure.
something like that. It just depends on how many more tournaments they offer.
Now,
But I it was like
do you play a lot of online?
no, I don't
You
at all
don't.
anymore.
Well,
But
I'm
I'm
sitting here.
interested in it.
I'm a little bit frustrated because I've been for the last, I don't know, 2 months maybe now, maybe longer. I've been trying out ACR, right?
Okay.
Just because I'm curious. And I've been having fun. I'm not trying to say I haven't had fun doing it. So today I've been working on some stuff and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a little break and play this little I always enter late. And I'm going to just, enter late into some PKO and just have some fun for an hour or two.
Uh,
Well, the server went down. So now we're all sitting at this table and there's a message on the screen that says this tournament is currently suspended by the host. Thank you for your patience. Now,
oh wow.
we already went through this once and then they restarted the tournament and the little timer came up and said the tournament's going to start in x amount of seconds. Those seconds clicked off, so did that little message, went away, and the tournament never started again. We didn't play one hand. And
Oh
about
my.
3 minutes later, this little message came back up on the screen. The tournament is suspended by the host. Thank you for your patience. And I'm like, how long do they expect me to sit here? Like,
Sure.
are they going to refund me if I get out of here and leave? Or am I going to
Yeah.
be out the buy in if I don't actually sit here and wait? I have no clue what I'm doing.
I'd be uh I'd be perplexed with that as well. I mean, it's a server issue, I guess, with them.
Yes.
And oh
Yes.
man,
And it's
yeah.
just annoying because they're trying not to refund money. I mean, from a business sense, we all get it.
Well, but you're probably I don't know how far along you were already. It's just
They were, I forget how many levels they hold registration open for, but we were only maybe 15 minutes away from registration closing. We're at 1,800, 3,600 blinds.
uh,
So,
yeah.
um, It's been going a while. Like I said, I registered
Is this the
late
first time this happened?
for me.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess what they would might do is just issue credits or something for another event similar to that, so they don't have to reissue money. You know what I mean? Like
Right. But
similar
how long are
buy-in.
they going to make us wait till that decision is made? It's like, okay, we're probably going on about here. I know.
Because you don't want to hear that you got blinded out of a tournament because it
Right.
started at some weird time that you couldn't possibly do
Right.
or whatever.
And how long am I expected to sit here for? I mean, my time is precious too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I posted, let's see, I'm trying to see, an hour ago. I made a tweet that said, "Come on, ACR, this site is stalled." That was an hour ago. I'm still sitting here.
I'm surprised they don't put out some updates on their Twitter feed or whatever
Something,
feed or anything.
something. I don't know how this works. So I'm stuck now. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I guess. I mean, you could probably reach out to their customer service, but it's probably about the same.
Hey, me
You'll
and
probably get
10,000 other people.
sure. Yeah, I don't think I ever ran into an issue with that when I was playing back in the day. Um, or it would be suspended and then they restarted it like after 5 or 10 minutes, but they never were down for hours on end or something.
Yeah. So we're all the table's still full, and every once in a while, somebody will put up one of those little emojis with the head exploding or the mad emoji or something. It's just annoying. Like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, I don't play this enough to know, so that doesn't help either. I'm sure this has happened to other people before, and they know exactly what to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like that seems like the best scenario they're going to do is something like issue you some credit towards
And
another event.
that's I have no problem with that. Just let me get on with my night. You know what
No,
I
I get.
mean? So
Yeah.
you're going to be there until when? Today is Thursday. You go home
No, I need to
tomorrow?
leave about tomorrow because I have things to take care of, and then I'm exploring some other events that are happening. I can tell you this though: when you play outside of Vegas, the competition, it depends on where you're at. I mean, Reno is a very soft field, and
Right.
they've said that as a run good stop. But if I get down to by Southern California, it might be a little more difficult. I know one of the hardest stops for me personally on the run good stops is anything that's with Thunder Valley. That place
Oh yeah.
is
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is, is very good competition
Yep.
up there, and even when it comes to, I mean, and Grayton for that matter, that stop too is very similar. So it's very interesting when I was talking about Shannon, how she coordinates with Ben Irwin at Thunder Valley, and they kind of make
Right.
sure the schedules don't overlap when it comes to their events and whatnot, because they're getting the same field of players. Most of the players coming from
100%. And why not,
Sacramento, it's only an
why
hour
not?
and a half drive. So
Yeah, and why not schedule it so the player can go from one week at Reno to the next week at
sure.
Thunder
That would make
Valley? I
that
mean,
would make a lot of sense. And you have players that might fly from out of
yeah,
town, and you can just kind of hop over one place to another. And well, what you have going on now, I think coming up is soon, is that what some of the dealers were sticking around for was the Poker Palooza. So that's coming to Reno, and that's an exciting event. I can tell you one of the events on the Poker Palooza. I think it's a $400. Oh, I forget what the buy-in amount is, but it's a all in or fold event. So
oh,
you can imagine that. And it's got 15-minute blinds. So that's very interesting event. And then they actually, I got to give them credit. I that Poker Palooza is an event that's almost 20 events, 25 events. It's run over, I want to say like a 2 week span or something like that, a
right,
week and a half, 2 weeks. And I would say it's very close to a mini version of the WSOP. I mean, they do offer some events that are casino employees only, so that can be anyone that has a badge, could be a dealer that dealt there before, and
right,
then you have other you have the main that's pretty big, and then you have um just a bunch of other small events that are just different, and then there's a mixed game event, I think, a couple of those. So and then Omaha. So it's just I mean, if I can get back up there, I might, but I think I might be busy during that time. And then I know, and then you have WSOP coming up too, and then you have it just kind of then you have the whirlwind of tournaments starting to happen, and and then you get a break in between like the fall, then you get the WPT at the end of the month.
Right.
It's kind of how this how it starts up slow and then it ramps like the summer. Just is
Absolutely.
everything there, and then you know how it is. So I just have to make sure I have enough of a bankroll for, or just really be more picky and choosy about what events, because also too, it's me getting in the right mindset, getting enough rest the night before and whatnot for these events, because I'm just I'm very frustrated myself that I don't run as deep as I want to. And then a lot of people were saying, because I talked to other dealers, they said, "Well, are you getting a good night's rest? Are you, I mean, because I get tired sometimes of just spending 6 hours at the table. So I'm like, okay, well, I think I needed, I need to eat breakfast before. I need to eat this. I mean, I need to be in the right mindset,
Well, and you have to
and
maintain it. So you also have
yeah,
to be eating, not only
during
not only
pack a
before you
snack or
go,
something.
but during, that six
Sure,
hours, as
that's
well as hydrating, right?
that's big. I
Huge.
mean, I don't know. I think has someone published that before, but
Oh
that's a
yeah.
really a
Yeah.
great insight. I'm sure they have.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just great insights to what you need to be consciously aware of, so you can maintain your sanity and just your
Absolutely. You
energy
have
and
to, and that somebody asked me why I like to play tournaments instead of cash. And I've done both. Up until like
yeah,
2 years ago, I was playing both. And I was literally like spending, 7, 8, I would go to Vegas, spend 7, 8 hours a day playing cash. Then I'd go
sure,
play a tournament and then get, to my hotel at 3 in the morning after playing cash again
sure,
after the tournament. And, I'm burning the candle at both ends. And I was like, you know
sure,
what?
absolutely.
Um,
You're burning yourself out. Yeah,
and why? Like it's not even
no,
necessary. And so
no,
I decided I wanted to like master tournament, so to speak. And
sure,
because I look at it as a challenge, like what do I have to do to sustain a 12-hour day today, followed
sure,
by another 8 or 10 hours tomorrow? What do I have to do that? And
yeah,
you know, I have made it to deep into day twos before, and it's
yeah,
you have to be conscious of your hydration and your protein intake and your carb
yeah,
intake. And,
absolutely,
you really have to, maintain that mental stability and use
sure,
food and drinks to help you with that. Right. And, um, yeah. So, I look at it as a challenge of, that I just want to conquer, and make my way through that tournament physically, mentally, as well as my card game.
sure. Because I mean, I think there's so many events out there, and there's like a lot of day two, day three events, and if you can, survive some of that, those are good, you know, ways to prepare for a main event if you ever chose to do so. I
Well,
mean, or day three,
absolutely.
four, because I would never enter the main. I haven't entered the main yet, but if I'm going to, I'm going to probably start off with a tournament that has like a day two, day three type of field where
Right.
I can at least think if can I actually get through this crowd, and can I sustain playing 8 hours a day or
Right.
9 hours a day for 2 or 3 days straight, because that's what the ultimate people are complaining about. And I think the only way to change the main event from running as deep as it is to probably you have to change the blinds, right, levels, I would say,
Yeah,
right,
blind
but
levels are, pardon me, I got the hiccups, are an hour. I know we talked about this in
they're an
Tunica.
hour.
They're an
Okay,
hour. So why
so
not?
I would cut them down to 45 minutes, you think,
Yeah, 40, 45 minutes for
or yeah.
maybe the first and second day. And
Yeah,
maybe when you get to the third day, after you've whittled down that field some, you could go back to the hour. But,
sure.
there's ways to work it with that time for sure.
Yeah. I think that would cut it down to at least 2 days. So instead of it being an 8 day excursion or 7 day, whatever it is, it could be down to like six or four or
Right.
five, 6 or 5. I mean, I think it's in best interest for the tournament, for other people to get it down to. I mean, I understand you have all the flights that need to run, but once those are done, then and I don't know, are the that's that's yeah, maybe you change the format after the flights are done and everyone is I mean, I think they're still going up to what, flight D or E. I don't know. I think they're on just
I think last year they had an
E.
E,
Okay.
at least an E.
Yeah.
May have been even an F and a G. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but there were a lot,
But and they're
and I
capping them
think
at
that it,
how many people are they capping per flight? Like 2,000
there
or
is
20?
no cap.
Oh, there's no cap. Okay,
No, there
that's
is
what's
no
crazy.
cap, and
Yeah.
there's no reason that
Oh, you need a cap.
you take it down to 45-minute levels. I don't think that's impacting the experience for the player.
I think also though, what people dealers from last year, maybe they're tired of this and the days and how long it's taking, and so they don't want to come back, and so make it harder and harder to find good dealers to deal these events, and because they're not doing enough to make it, they're not raising the pay, probably not. So they're, it's difficult, and it's important for the players to have good dealers too. Is that so? We don't hear them calling the floor every time that
Right.
dealer made a mistake, and maybe like there's some issues. I'll tell you, this is just it happens, okay, but this happened during the Run Good series, and we had one dealer that a player announced he was all in. The other guy turned over his cards, and what accidentally happened was the dealer thought he had was mucking his hand, and then basically took all the burn cards and put them into a deck and shuffled the whole flop and everything.
Uh,
So as a tournament, as TDA rules, how this plays out. So because I've never seen that ever happen,
uh,
but I can tell you how it happened. I think it was like Ace Jack versus Pocket Queens. So what ended up happening was they dealt a complete brand new flop turn river. I mean, with all of the cards other than the two whole cards.
wow.
So I mean, what I mean that gave,
Wow.
and I'll tell you what, the
Oh,
pocket queens end up holding up still, but and that's like 60
oh,
40. But and the dealer felt completely awful. He felt just totally
of
awful.
course.
But you can't just call the hand dead, and you can't. It is what it is. So that's how that was played out. It just, but that's they're just mistakes, and these were some of these are really good dealers here, and so I can only imagine some of those stories that probably will surface this year that this dealer did
Well,
this or that,
yeah,
and
you
it
always
just
have
happens.
some new dealers, and we
So
just have to be reminded that when you sit at a table with a new dealer, if you're a seasoned poker player, help the
yeah,
new dealer out,
yeah,
because without that new dealer, we don't have good dealers next year. We
sure,
can turn that new dealer into an excellent dealer by next year. So everybody starts somewhere, and we can't forget our own beginnings, right? We were once a fumbling,
sure,
mumbling poker player as a newbie. And guess what? Somebody helped us. So we just have to stay patient and help that new dealer out in hopes that they stick with it. So we
yeah,
have a pool of good dealers. I mean, it's
yeah.
that simple.
Well, I can tell you too is that the requirements for the Run Good series and some other good series is really up to the. I mean, so they'll tell the whoever the host casino is, hey, look, you need to get X amount of dealers for this
Right.
tournament. These are their events. So they got about 12 or 14 dealers, and it was just perfect in the amount. But it's up to the tournament director or person operations of the casino to hire these people, and so they will have certain qualifications. Say, look, I want to make sure you've dealt for 2 or 3 years, and you have some, you've dealt events like this before, and you've dealt all mixed games before and whatnot. So that's, and I learned that a dealer doesn't get a qualification for a mixed game. They just get licensed to deal. So they should know though how to deal Omaha, Raz, Stud,
Yeah,
in
all
all
of
those
them.
games, and that's just something that's just known that they should know that as being hired. So that's probably where you have issues maybe with some dealers that are dealing those outside events and don't necessarily know the correct way to deal some of these. That's probably where more issues I think come about as well. So
Yep.
Yeah, it's just and so I think the requirements are almost none to very little when it comes to the World Series because they just need bodies. They just need people out there. And so
Well,
uh,
they do have
okay.
to, they are tested, believe it
Okay,
or
okay.
not. They are
Okay.
tested. And, but that doesn't mean that they're never going to turn down a good deal, like
Sure.
a new dealer, if they've gone through the test and stumbled through the test, right? Because
Mhm.
they're new, they're
Yeah,
nervous, and
sure.
we just
But
can't be hurt.
the stakes are high, when it comes to
Well,
these
then,
events. So
yeah, but
that's
here's the thing,
yeah,
the stakes may be high, but every person at that table knows the what's up.
yeah,
So it's up to us to make sure that we help make sure that that it's done correctly, right? And so it doesn't only fall on that dealer, especially when they're new. It falls on all of us. And we just have to know there's going to be new dealers. Guess what? How
yeah,
else are we going to get dealers unless somebody comes in new? And it's up to us to help make sure that we treat them well, help them so they become good dealers. I mean, it's that
absolutely.
simple.
So what I was told was actually with one of the this guy I met that's like a former, I mean, or he's a little dealer, but he's done all types of events, WSOP, everything, and he told
Right.
me that a supervisor, like a head supervisor or head director or whatever, will select certain dealers for a World Series poker final table.
Oh,
So that's
absolutely.
and so there's a rotation of four of them. It's always
Absolutely.
one sitting, and because it's TV time and it's generally for some, I mean, most events, because Poker Go puts everything on TV. I think for every main event or I mean, every final table of every big tournament. So, and and they get paid very well too for that, and that
Yeah,
this and
they
that.
are
But
definitely not only for your final tables, but your King's
or
Lounge.
featured
Yeah,
tables too.
your King's Lounge, which is
Okay.
your high roller cash games at the
Okay.
WSOP.
Yeah.
They only pick certain dealers to to deal in that room as well. So yeah,
Okay.
for sure that
So that's why
happens.
it's very envious that people. He was saying that that's what a lot of dealers want is that level of being invited to that or being
Of
selected.
course,
So
it's an honor.
yeah,
And guess what? It's based on their abilities, right? So, they want to do a good job. They want to be recognized for doing a good job. So,
sure,
kudos to them.
yeah. So it's very interesting to learn the insights of what it's like and what's expected. And they talk about the downs. You've heard of this, right? Each
Right,
down,
right.
and I guess that's per I guess hour or something, and how that translates or something
It's
to
per
a
every time they
okay.
isn't it every time they switch a table?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah.
So they're like trying to figure out what their pay is per down and what their pay
Right.
is um, this and that. So just yeah, I never realized it, and a lot of these guys I met were just really the nicest of people in the world too. So it just I know some people it's frowned upon from talking to dealers or whatever, and some tournament directors say, hey, stay away from players, because but that's I mean a dealer's going to deal cards no matter what. I mean they can't have any control of misdealing or whatever. I mean so um, but I get, but it's just interesting to hear the other side of the felt, just what's it
Sure.
like to do that because it gives me insight to say, hey, is that something I'd find appealing or not? And I'm like, not really. And a lot of them actually don't even have a place to live. They just say, oh, I just store my stuff in storage or I put my stuff here because I'm never home. I'm just on the road all year long and I'm going, and then, oh, I'm looking forward to my next stop in here or there. And I'm like, wow, okay. I see. So
It's not an easy life, but if you enjoy it, you really enjoy it. Like
yeah,
the dealers that are enjoying that life are really enjoying it. Like they
yeah,
make the best of it. They travel
sure,
with a group. They'll
sure,
cook together.
yeah, yeah.
They go and have some fun
It's,
together. Yeah.
so it's cool to, and then if I'm like, okay, well, if I see you at the WSOP or if I see you at And then they would say, "Well, I deal at the Golden Nugget. I'll deal here and there." And I'm like, "Okay, well, oh." And it's such a small world for women, dealers or just women in level of
Right.
director, because I mentioned one woman's name that dealt there, and Brittany knew who she was immediately, or somebody knew who she was immediately, and I'm like, wow, okay. So but it's nice to see that I know you're very much taking that lead, make sure women are involved more in poker and in operation roles and stuff like that. So
We're
that's
trying. We're trying. That's for
so
sure.
it's 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 just a small amount, and um but you're seeing it, and it's yeah, it's
Right
I think
on.
good at their job too. It's just like, wow, like.
Right. Oh, I got another message on my screen. We're sorry for the inconvenience, but due to technical issues, the tournament has been canceled. Your account has been credited according according to our terms and conditions. Awesome. I just sat here for an hour and what 30 minutes for that message. Okay,
Well,
goodbye, ACR.
it's probably
Goodbye.
what. Yeah.
I wonder how much money I lost on that tournament. I don't know what my balance was before I bought in. Darn it. Anyway.
ACR's been around for a while, haven't they? Or
Um,
maybe not. Is
no,
that is that America's Card Room?
yes. I don't
Okay.
know how long they've been around for, quite honestly. And
Well, a lot of them, had a bad rap after what happened, and then
oh,
they got rebranded, and I know Poker Stars kind of got rebranded, and a new ownership or something like that. So I know a friend of mine is placed on. Have you heard of Phenom Poker?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I guess people are depositing with Bitcoin and some other stuff, and I'm like, okay, and then just kind of, I don't. And then he was like, well, here, here, give you a code, and here's my referral code. Use that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm just kind of, I'd have to look at this and play in the free plus stuff, and and because I don't really trust or have been trusting or played online poker since the big crash and that. I just
Right.
stay
And
away
I'm
from
going to
it.
tell you, that's been the biggest deterrent for me, besides the fact that I just love the social end of playing in person
Oh, sure.
and literally to be online. It's hard for me to sit here and play an online game.
Absolutely.
And and that's part of my frustration when this tournament went down, and I was like, damn it, damn online, like this is so stupid, an hour and a half waiting for this tournament. I mean, it's just ridiculous, let
Yeah, it would
alone the
never happen live.
cheating and the bots and the everything else.
Sure.
This is not something I'm going to do forever, mark my words. I just wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah. Like I used to play a lot of that, and I would play, on my own schedule and whatnot. But it was because I was also under 18. I was under 21. I was it was 18 and up at the time back in 2005, or when I was able to gamble
Right.
online. So and then once I turned 21, I was eager to get to a casino. Unfortunately, the casinos for me that were allowed me to play at 18, 19 were Indian casinos in far. They were far away. They were 2.5 hours
Right.
away.
Right.
So and then, once I was around 21, 22, I did make it up to the World Series Poker, and I took it in and everything. And what was really fun, this is a story I had, is, my first World Series Poker I attended was the year, I want to say at Peter Eastgate won it all or something like that. So I think it was 2007 or 8. I think it was the 8 he won it. But
Okay.
I remember seeing Doyle come in, and I saw I saw all these people come in, and I saw Norman Chad come in, and I said to him, said something. I said, I called him by his name. He's like, "How do you do, sir?" And then I saw him last year and he doesn't know this, but it just was kind of like a turning point for me, like a seeing him
No.
this past year. And it's like I was last saw you in like 2008, and now I'm seeing you all of again in 2014. It's 2024. It's like that's been so long, and it's just very funny to like run into him twice. And but he was, he just said hello, good afternoon, and he's just very brief, and because he's always on the go, but
Yeah,
it's
but
just
you
like
know what? He's always willing
yeah,
to chat and take a
okay,
picture.
Oh, that's
Um, I've never seen him not stop to chat or take a picture. Even if he'll tell you, look, I got, 20
sure,
seconds to take a picture because I have an appointment, but he
sure,
always takes that 20 seconds for you. Like,
yeah,
I appreciate that from people.
sure,
And, and I love when I'm around to see that happening because those people are, like, they've listened to you commentate for 20 years,
yeah.
and so now
Well,
they see you in person. It's a big deal.
a lot of people say, as much as people credit Chris Moneymaker for the Moneymaker effect and the bringing people into poker, I think you got to credit Lon McCarran and Norman Chad for just their commentating and making it a fun experience to watch poker.
For sure.
And
For
so
sure, they
they're just as
deserve
much
credit. Yep.
credit for bringing this whole thing around. So,
I don't know if they deserve as much credit as
well, no,
Moneymaker, but they
they
definitely
do
deserve credit.
deserve some credit, yeah, because they made the
For
game
sure. I mean, you
fun
could say
too.
that about Phil Hellmuth,
Sure.
Dinesh,
Oh
the
yeah, the
mouth.
antics and everything.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it created this level of like suspense or just the level of, animosity and just,
well, and
the
curiosity, right?
yeah,
People
yeah,
want to watch and see what's going to happen. I mean, you could even give credit to the explosion of Full Tilt blowing up,
sure,
right?
sure.
And that drawing
Force
attention to
people
the
to
poker
draw.
world, right? And they, even though we don't necessarily want to, you still have to say, hey, that whole Black Friday thing brought attention to the poker world, and people were
Sure.
curious, and
But
um,
also brought more people to probably play on in person,
right,
and started driving the
yeah.
demand for tournaments and whatnot. So that's
For sure.
something like that. So, and when I was playing this weekend, it was really cool because even if I wasn't in an event, I would see other players that were in events with me or next to me before, and they stopped to say hi to me and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And what are we in this event or that event? And so there was a lot of, I felt this weekend, and I felt in other tournaments before, a lot of mutual respect for other players,
I
and
love
that's
that.
really good, and that's very important instead of guys, berating other players for bad calls or bad moves or whatever. I don't, things happen. I, I felt bad in the WSOP, and I told the story to a guy last year when I knocked a guy out. I had King Jack suited, and the other guy had King Jack, and I made my flush, and I felt so awful. Then he's like, "Did you really feel awful when you were raking up those chips?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe not so much, but but
No,
it's
but
still,
there's
it's like,
still a piece.
you
I
know."
think everybody has a little piece of them when they take somebody, unless the person's a complete asshole. And
Oh,
then you're
sure.
like, hell yeah, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
But
I
I
totally
think
get that.
every person has a little piece of them that kind of feels sorry when they take somebody out. They may not necessarily express that or say that or
Sure,
whatever, but I think it's human to
sure.
feel a little, oh, darn it, I took them out, as you're raking their chips in, because that's what your job is. But
Yeah, I mean, but you should have a level of, like good game, where this is, level of respect for each other, for just, for just being in there, being with them, and it just so. But I just have to. I'm gonna try to work on my game. I think work on just reading up some more books and material. I think because my biggest problem, I think, with just tournament play is that I will make it to the second break, third break, whatever, and that's pretty deep. And then it's that 25% I get into where I lose, and it only pays that top 12, 13. So
all
it's
right.
overcoming that last 12.5%, making sure that I'm putting myself in a better place, you know to and that's also bluffing more or just putting myself in a more aggressive position to and not playing as passive or waiting for the cards and playing more hands in certain scenarios and whatnot. So
Did you happen to listen to the interviews I did with Preston?
I no I need
Okay.
to.
I'm going to tell you because I talked to him about always have, because,
Yeah, Preston's a good player.
well,
I
he
mean,
always has a stack of chips.
yeah.
I have never been around Preston where he doesn't have this flippin' mountain of chips. And
Yeah,
I
I
asked
was
him about
impressed
it.
with him. I mean, he won one event, then he went into the other, and
Yeah,
then he won that event
yeah,
with the black strip or something.
yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah,
His head and mob is unbelievable too. To look at that, and but yeah, I guess he could write a book almost himself if
100%.
but he also I think I read an article about him on Card Player somewhere, and he credits a lot of mentors in his life for helping him get to where he was and whatnot, and so that's definitely something to think about. Um, and I talked to Brittany over the weekend, and I said, you're really great playing. And I said, how did you get so good about it? And you know what she says? She says, I watch hours and hours of poker. I said, I don't, it's like, really doesn't care what it is. It was high stakes, whatever. And I just gain insight from that. And I'm like, wow,
I'm going
because
to
a lot
tell
of them,
you,
or tournament play or cash or,
I have watched everything from the beginning of time on Poker Go.
wow,
And it's amazing what you pick up just watching, even if it's old stuff. You just
sure.
would be amazed at what you like, what it makes you think about, or maybe you hadn't thought about that before, but all of a sudden it clicks because now you're watching it in action. Um, I
Or
mean,
you can better relate to it because you were in a
yes,
scenario like that or
yes,
something.
or your game has grown to the point where it's relatable now. Maybe your game wasn't good enough 5 years ago that even made sense to you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, there's so many benefits to watching poker. I'm a firm believer in that. And I watch for tells. Like, I watch for tells. Why? Because one day I may
Sure.
play that person. What are their
Sure.
tells? And guess what? I'm
Sure.
sharpening my skills on tells by watching for them. And so there's a
Sure.
lot of great reasons why you should watch episodes of cash games and tournament play.
Sure. I think I think it, when I was, I'll tell you this, Sherry, when it wasn't as relatable to me back in the day because I was playing online so much, right?
Right?
So that's where it's like, you'd watch it while you play online sometimes, but now that I'm playing more in person tournaments, it is more relatable, and I haven't been watching it as often as I could be. So I guess what I need to do is get a PokerGo subscription and just be able to, I guess you can download some episodes, make them offline, and so I can watch them in flights and other places and
For
get
sure.
some more. So that's probably what I'm gonna get on at some point if I want to like take my game to the next level or just kind of improve upon where I'm at and just you know, being, it gets frustrating where, you feel like, well, why am I not making more final tables? Why am I not getting closer and closer? And then it's just like, what am I doing outside of poker to improve my game, right? Am I not,
I'm going to
is
tell
it,
you in 20, I want to say it was 2022, but it could have been 2021. No, I think it was 2022. I think I was the bubble girl or the bubble plus one or two 10 times that year. Like, it was ridiculous how many times I was the bubble person.
oh,
And
wow.
I would always reach out to this really good friend of mine, and she would say, "Well, how's it going?" And I'd say, "I'm the bubble plus two." And she's like, "Holy shit, again?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, I'd rather lose like 20 out of the money or 50 out of the
Uh-huh.
money
Sure.
than to keep being the bubble plus one, bubble plus two. It was annoying. And,
Uh-huh.
all I could say was that the other part of that discussion to myself, like self-taught, was, but you're consistent. Like, you're getting there. You're getting to that
Sure.
point consistently.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize that and
Sure.
go, hey, that's pretty good that you're consistently getting to that point. Now you got to figure out what you got to tweak to get you into that final
Next level.
table or
Yeah.
that money, right? And so,
Sure.
and tweak that game. And but you have to look at the consist in my eyes. I was being consistent. Like, I was top, finishing in the top 15% or the
Sure.
top 18%. And that's not a bad thing.
Sure. Yeah, it's. I think for me, the larger the field, I'll play a bit better, just because. And I'll tell you the main reason for that is probably because you're staying at the same table longer. Hopefully, you're not,
Right.
getting moved around, and that way you can develop, you know, so say we're getting upset in this tournament this weekend where some players were making notes on other players, and there was the discussion on that. Is that legal to get a notepad and start making notes on your other players and the way they played certain hands or this and that? Because we think, or even as the tournament directors, they're talking and think, and dealers are like, you know what, poker's a mental game, and you should be able to make mental notes on these players without taking time to be writing down notes and referencing to these notes and whatnot. So,
Well,
you know,
the thing is, as long as they're not doing it during the hand, I'm okay
okay,
with it. Okay.
yeah,
They just can't refer to those notes or write those notes during a hand if they have cards are in the
sure,
hand.
yeah, because then it acts almost like a solver in some ways that they're just trying to figure out how to play a certain hand. Like, if they have a whole list of what they do when they get each hand, referencing into it, saying, "Hey, this is how you're supposed to open up with King Eight," or this and that. Yeah,
Yeah. And they could have the charts. They could have like hand wrote a short
sure,
version of charts or
sure,
whatever. And, that's fine as long as you're not looking at it during a hand. I'm
sure.
going to tell you, last year in the ladies' event, um, somebody had their notebook out, and I was like, and she was referring to it during
Mhm.
hands that she was
It's not
in.
good.
And I actually texted a friend of mine and asked him to come over. He's a professional player. I said, look, I got up from the table and I texted him to come over for a minute. And when he did, I walked away from the table and I said, look, I need you to just walk behind her and see what is in her notebook because she's referring to it during hands. And and she's literally flipping the pages, like not just
Oh,
looking
well,
down at a note or two, literally flipping through the pages
yeah.
while the hand's in progress. And so he walked around and he texted me, he said, I can't get close enough to see it because, it's handwritten. He said, I can't get close enough to see what it is. So then I texted another friend of mine and I said, like, what's the rule? Like, am I imagining that this is not right? That this could be cheating. And my friend's like, immediately call the TD and, you know, have it addressed or whatever. And shortly after that message, I was still debating what I was going to do. They broke our table down, but and she went out. But I did talk to it a couple of people about it after, and Matt Savage was one of them, and he said absolutely against the rules. He said absolutely against the rules, and
Well, I mean, it gives a player unfair advantage. It slows the game down. I mean, it's
yeah,
so many. It's funny because there's so many other players that will play. It's like, what are you doing during the break? I'm either watching a movie or they're actually playing in another poker tournament online or just playing, for fun online. And I'm thinking like, God, you playing poker twice. Like,
right,
it just kind of sounds. I mean, it is what it is, but goodness, it's there. It's very interesting to hear from the tournament directors themselves speak on it and say, you know, what they're seeing and what players are thinking on this, and so
yeah, for sure. And I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to go further into it because some of the folks in this space may be able to tell who I'm talking about, and I really am not trying to throw her under the
sure.
bus. Um, but it was definitely an interesting situation because I was like, I was thinking to myself, does anyone else at the table even are they even clued into the fact that she's doing it? Like, am I the only one that is even
Yeah.
noticing her doing it? Like, I didn't see anybody like looking around or looking at me like, what's up? Or, everybody was like their noses in their phones and, and yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Anyway, I see Karen joined us. Karen, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear you're sick, honey.
Hey there, man. I hadn't been this sick in years.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I was just up all night throwing up.
Oh,
And then I had this left in a high fever, and then I had this leftover Zofran. So I took that, but I mean, it might have helped, but I still continued to throw up. And then today
Oh,
I've thrown up some, but not as bad. I can't eat. It's
I'm
horrible.
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. So I do know who you're talking about. Lovely, lovely woman. But no, I've spoken with her
I,
about the notebook.
I
I
did
have,
too.
and I told her she needs to get rid of the notebook. Um, Not only does it give her that unfair advantage, but it's a bad table image.
Yep,
And several of us have talked to her about it, and she's just real stubborn about it. And I mean, she's a lovely person, you know her, but
yep.
she just does, she doesn't see it as unfair. And I know what she I've seen the notebook, and so I do know what's in there. And
I do too. I have
basically,
pictures of it. She sent me pictures of it because I
so
did talk to her about it, and she's like, "Let me just show you what's in there."
she's very insecure about
Yes.
knowing her bet sizings. And I tried to give her a workaround where you're not having to even do any math. Like if you know you want to do a half pot bet or whatever's or pre-flop, you know, you can do it based on coloration. Like if you're not good with math, you can say, all right, I want to do a half pot bet. There's 10 reds out there, you
Right.
know, two grays. I'll do, you know, five reds and a gray.
Right. Well,
but
and you know, the
but
thing about it is, not everybody can have those things memorized, but they don't have cheat sheets. I mean, I'm
no, you
sorry.
just wing it.
Yeah, you just, you're not special. Like, I can't do it. You can't do it either.
Yeah, I talked to her about it, and she won't play now at any. She has gotten special permission to use the notebook at certain
Yep.
venues, and she won't play at places that won't allow her
Yeah.
notebook.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it'll be interesting to see. Well, I know for the WPT, she would not be able to because Matt Savage is like, absolutely not. And so it'll be interesting to see if she comes to the WSOP this summer, if anything's going to be done about it or not.
Yeah, yeah, it's strange, and I mean, she doesn't need the notebook.
No, no. Yeah. Anyway, what can we do? Do you know Doug? Doug, Karen?
Hey, Karen.
Hey, Doug. No, I don't
I
think we've
just I
met.
just followed you on here, so
Oh, nice. Thank you.
okay. I see a lot of people follow you that you know seem that I know as well. So it's a small community, but I feel it's a big community but small.
We eventually meet up with each other, don't we?
We cross paths eventually. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm running over to Resorts will be a friend of mine. So just he's in town for a little bit and said I would come over and say hi at 5 o'clock my time here. So
Nice. You're going to play or what?
I don't think so. And we talked about that room as being not a very good room to play in.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
some
need
bad word
say
on the
any.
street right now about that room.
Yeah, I think we did. We might have discussed about that.
Yep, we did.
Yeah, about some play. Uh, but there's just very few rooms out here, and um, you know, it's it's kind of a shame that Vegas doesn't offer more, but it's not a effort that they want to push forward because
It's it's fun.
there's nothing in it for them.
It's funny you mentioned there's not very many rooms. I just made a list because I'm trying to get prepared for my daily WSOP coverage this summer. So there's some stuff I'm trying to do ahead of time. And one of the things I did was make a list of all the poker rooms in Vegas. And, as I was making the list, I was like, oh my gosh, like this room is no longer there and that room is no longer there. And even Caesar's Palace's room is closed right now. And
Yeah.
it's really amazing. Like,
Well, and the rooms that are existent that I don't understand why they're in existence, but some like there's a room at Mandalay Bay, and then somebody told me though that they run a very good high hand, some hand, whatever, and said okay, but just like a lot of the people that some like rooms that have it just don't take the effort to um, do more with the room. I would say,
Right. And
you know,
I'm like, there's when I was making the list, I was like, oh, I didn't even know they had a room. Like, I think it was one of the station properties. I was like, oh shit, they have a room. Like, I
yeah,
was,
Red Rock has a room.
well, Red
Yeah.
Rock, I knew they
Okay.
had one, but it
Okay.
was,
Oh, then it's Boulder Highway has one.
I can't.
That might be one surprise you.
Let me see. I'm trying to find. I printed my list out here. I was trying to find it. Let me see what it's called. Was it Boulder? It
Yeah, that one will surprise you.
it was. Let's see. Where is it? Um, the Santa Fe station,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not know.
and then there is a Boulder station poker room too.
Yeah.
But it was the Santa Fe station. I was like, wait, they have a poker room. I was
So what's interesting is that certain rooms have certain games that people really like. So there'll be
yes,
like a 3-6 limit game, no kill or something like that, and then people really like that game, and
right.
and it's a game. So and that's something that you can find out. It's like if you're interested in this particular game, this is a great place to
Right.
go to play
Well,
it. It's a
even
very
like the Westgate will spread
yeah,
crazy pineapple,
sure,
and I love that. I love when they do something. I wish somebody would spread Raz so I can go have a lesson
yeah.
in Raz. But here, I'm just going to read this list of poker rooms in Vegas. So you have the Aria, the Bellagio, Boulder Station, the Golden Nugget, Horseshoe, Mandolin Bay, MGM, Poker Palace, which I met the people that run that one. I promised them I would come this summer
Is,
to see them.
is that's actually a physical casino?
Yeah,
Okay,
It's the
I just
Poker
looked it up.
Palace Casino, and they have a poker
Oh,
room.
okay,
Red Rock, Resorts World, Santa Fe Station, Skyline Casino. Never heard of that before in my life. They're in Henderson. They have a poker
okay,
room. South Point, the Orleans, Venetian, Westgate, and Wynn. That's it. That's
yeah.
all of the poker rooms in Vegas right now. So you
And
know,
there's over 60 or 70 casinos, and you just probably what
one, two,
13
three,
casinos
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 poker rooms.
out of the 60 or 70
Yeah.
casinos. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, just the Caesar properties alone. There's no
yeah.
longer one at Planet Hollywood. There's
Well, and
there's
you can count the one at Paris during the WSOP because they run the cash game there.
Yeah, but you,
Yeah.
they don't longer have one at the Planet Hollywood. They don't have
Yeah.
one at
Excalibur used to have one, I think, and
Excalibur, but that's an
Flamingo used to have.
MGM.
Flamingo used to have one.
That's MGM. I was just trying to talk
Oh,
about Caesars. So
oh no, Flamingo's
Flamingo,
Caesars.
I know, but you
Yeah.
mentioned the
Oh, sorry.
Excalibur.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
finish.
Oh,
So
sorry. Okay.
um, Flamingo, Harrah's, and Planet Hollywood and Caesars are four poker rooms that have been shut down since Eldorado Group bought them in 2020. Excalibur and there's one more of MGM's that closed down. Excalibur and um oh my goodness. What I can't think of it. I want to say it's not oh what the hell. I think there was one more MGM poker room that shut down, and I can't think of it. Let's see. Um, Mandalay
It's, um,
Bay. I think there's one more MGM room that shut down as well, and that's just since COVID, and I hate that.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Luxor ever operated one. They might
I
have.
don't remember them having one, but it could be they
I don't
did.
think Park Am. I don't think Park MGM ever had one.
No,
Or I know that New York never operated one either. So
no, they
don't
didn't
believe so.
either. But I don't know about the pyramid one. I don't know about the Lexor if they ever had one. They may have had one before I really looked at different rooms to play at.
Well, I think didn't Mirage used to have one, and then so that went away.
Mirage, that's the other
Yeah.
MGM
Okay.
property. Thank
Yeah.
you. I knew there
And
was
I
one more.
and I have good reason to believe that they will bring that poker room back once the Hard Rock opens. Hard Rock is known for that in Seminole Hard Rocks in Tampa and Hollywood. So I I believe I
Yeah, but they're
strongly
not owned by
think
the same company.
yeah,
But what?
they're owned by the Seminole Hard Rock tribe that owns the ones in Tampa and Hollywood. So that
Oh,
they,
is the
they
one coming on the strip a
yeah,
part of that? Oh, I
yeah.
didn't realize that.
So those are the ones that so
Oh,
I would have to believe that they would want one of their stops to be and have poker rooms because they take care.
oh
I mean, their
man.
poker room. If you've never been to any of their poker rooms in their Hollywood or Tampa, they're especially the one in Tampa. I really like it, but they also run a great tournament too. So that's
Yeah, I've been to both properties. I didn't realize it was that same company. Because
yeah,
like the one in Biloxi
yeah,
is not related to them, and I just was
yeah.
for whatever reason assumed that the one in Vegas wasn't related to them.
No,
Wow.
yeah. That's why they wanted. They actually had to purchase the I guess Hard Rock license that was from the old Hard Rock,
Right.
so they didn't have to reapply for it or whatnot. But as far as I know, they own the Hard Rock brand, though. So everybody else is paying a licensing fee for them to operate under the brand, even though it's like I think the one in Gary, Indiana. I don't know if that's also operated. I know the one in like let's see. Oh, well, it's no longer. It was a Hard Rock in Tahoe. Now it's Golden Nugget, but that even one wasn't operated by them either. So
Yeah. My understanding
bunch of
is
them.
they only had the two in Florida, but I'm going to tell
I
you
think so.
the
Well, they
guitar
also
shape.
so they have the one in Sacramento, but it's not owned by them. But they actually run the same players card, so that makes it feel like it is, but it's not. It's
No,
kind of
it's
been a
just under
partnership,
the
I think.
Hard Rock name, the
Yeah,
corporate name. But I'm going to tell you the
but
addition to the strip of the Hard Rock guitar shaped hotel is going to be amazing. That is going to
yeah.
be such an awesome addition to the strip. Like that hotel is made to be on the Las Vegas strip.
Yeah, I mean, I think also they were doing the rooms, and they're going to increase rooms on that side alone. So you got, I think, a total of probably almost 5,000 rooms that are going to come back online, which is really awesome because you lost so many from both properties, and when also when the Tropicana shut down. So
Look, there's one thing Vegas is not short of, and that's hotel rooms.
sure. I mean, this depends on when if you have certain events that bring in like over 100,000 people. I don't think it's never been shorted during the WSOP, fortunately, but there are bigger events than that provide that makes it just very expensive to stay. I'll say if you have to pay over $400 a night, it's too much.
Yeah, I'm not paying
But that's just me.
a room in
I know.
Vegas. Forget that.
Yeah.
If it's not free, Sherry's not going.
Yeah. But you know what I did ask a good question, and so people know too, is that because a lot of the traveling dealers, have cars too, and they were told that they can still park at as Paris and those properties during the WSOP, and they're not restricted from. But it's never caused an issue for parking, finding parking for those events because a lot of people do come into town and don't have a car. So, um, and there's a lot of parking up there. So
Oh yeah, there's plenty of
it
parking.
it's never became an issue where there needs to be off-site parking for dealers or something like
No,
that. And
never.
but I think it's like I think there's over 2,000 dealers usually brought into Vegas during the WSOP just for
Yeah, but most
all types of
yeah, but
events.
most of them are flying,
But
and
yeah, that's probably the thing too.
they don't have cars.
Yeah,
Only your
yeah,
ones that are coming from Reno or California are coming in their cars. And you'll have
yeah,
a few that travel the circuit and are driving the circuit and they end up at the summer WSOP, then they'll have their car, but that's not very many.
Yeah, waiting on my ride here.
Well, if you decide to play, good luck.
Oh, I'm not going to play anything tonight.
Okay.
I'm just
What time's your flight tomorrow?
uh I have to be really early. I have an appointment at 10:30. I have to take my dog to, so I have to
10:30 in the
probably be a
morning?
6. Yeah, so it's usually
Oh my God.
it's yeah. I'll be calling close, or I might take something early. They have a flight around 1 a.m. tonight. I might actually take that instead because that might be. And then it gets me around 5. I mean, I get my sleep whenever I can. I just don't want to be. They're fairly inexpensive flights, but I need to double check this here.
Yeah. You fly into what
Um,
city?
to Denver, so I need to make sure I have my. I need to get a ticket because I know if I don't get a ticket in few hours, that ticket will jump double in price.
Yeah,
It's
for
kind of
sure.
crazy. So I need to. That's as much. I have a lot of downtime today, so I'm just trying to figure this all out. It's just important for my dog because there's a puppy and needs her shots, and if she doesn't get her shots this week, then they have to restart the entire process, and
Yeah, don't
that's
screw
another
that
pain.
up.
Yeah, because it has to be like within 4 to 5 weeks of her initial round of shots.
Right.
So yeah,
What kind of dog?
it's a golden doodle.
Oh,
It's kind of a dog that my brother couldn't take care of, and then decided said, well, probably better off with you and my mom and this and that. So I'm the one that usually takes her grooming appointments and everything like that. So it's and it's very expensive to travel with a dog or anything like that, just because
especially
a
a
lot of
big
hotels don't
dog.
allow it. Yeah, she's medium sized now, or something like that. So
Yeah, if she
hope she
doesn't
doesn't.
fit into a little carrier, she's a big dog. Start playing. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know I've seen quite a few people bring a dog, or maybe one or two ladies have a dog at a wind tournament. And it's cute and all, but it's like they're usually really tiny, like terriers or something.
Yeah,
So,
they need to leave their
uh,
dogs at home.
yeah, I guess I don't think that was a service dog either. So it's like I don't think I don't even know if it's permitted to bring any dogs on the property if they're not serviced in certain ways or in their carrier. Just like letting them on their leash.
Yeah, they're-
But you see it a lot. You see, I mean,
it's annoying. I have bad allergies, and
sure.
I'm the bad
Especially at
guy
a
because I
tournament.
have to say
I feel
something, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't sit by this dog. I'm allergic. And I'm not going to have a
right.
fucking asthma attack because this fucking moron brought their dog to the
Sure,
casino.
sure. I mean, especially in a poker tournament where you're there for hours, and it's probably not fair for the dog, and it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair for the dog.
Just uh,
Too many hours.
yeah. I don't think that's all right.
Too-
Well, I'll catch with you later,
All
Sherry. I'm
right,
just
pal.
gonna
Safe
wanna go.
travels.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Karen, I almost feel bad. I don't even want to talk to you so you can just rest.
It's rough, man. I just
Um,
like,
I'm going to tell you, I'd rather have a broken leg than throw up one time. I'm just going to tell you.
it's horrible. I was just up all night. I couldn't sleep because I was so nauseous. And
Mm.
so, but I didn't exactly have to throw up, although I did throw up quite a few times. But like in between the throw, I was just
Oh,
miserable. Oh, it's just been so bad. And then today, slightly better because I only threw up one time, but still, I just feel
ugh.
nauseous and horrible.
Well, and it weakens you so bad.
Yeah, I'm real dizzy.
Yeah, you better try to sip on. You're dehydrated. That's why you're dizzy.
Yeah, I've been able to keep some water down, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, just sip, 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 as my mother used to say. She used to say, I don't care if it's a teaspoon of water, just take a little sip. And of course, you're like, no, because I don't want to throw it back up, Mom. Ugh, misery. Misery.
Oh yeah. I'm just waiting to feel better. And then a very good friend of mine is having her birthday party tonight. I mean, tomorrow night at the karaoke place I go to. And I already
Mhm.
texted her. I don't see how I'm going to make it. I feel bad,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but you don't want to go out too soon either and have a relapse.
and and I don't want to get all them sick. This is
Yep.
horrible.
Indeed. Indeed. Then you'll be, instead of just a super spreader of my very first meetup game, you'll be the super spreader of the karaoke land.
I didn't like all the stuff that all those unmentionables said, about the meetup games, but that was kind of a funny bit,
They're
the
so
super
stupid.
spreader.
They're
It
so
was kind
stupid.
of funny. I didn't mind that one. They took it a little too far though, but it was kind of funny at first because who knows? Everybody was so sick out there.
Well, it was Fanboy. Fanboy's the one that was sick.
So I saw Fanboy. PPE somehow found me in the tournament room and brought Fanboy over to meet me. Maybe he texted me and asked me where I was. I don't think he did. He was very good at finding people, and they showed up. And I did,
Yeah,
I could
because
only.
he's got us all bugged and
I
watered, and we probably all have a damn air tag on us, our
did.
bodies, and don't even know it.
Well, I could only speak for a second because I didn't, I was in the middle of the game, but I stood up and I hugged Fanboy. We hugged briefly and said hello. And then, so who knows, maybe one of us got the other one sick or maybe it was not.
It was a joint adventure. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Well, it's so, and you know what? Fanboy was the only one that got sick from the people that came to the meetup game.
That's funny. Yeah, I was pretty sick. I came home. Well, when I was in Vegas, I didn't feel well, but I thought I had a bad cold. And then right about the time I was going home, it got worse. And then I got home. I thought maybe I don't have this. And I tested and I had COVID. So it's funny because I missed thinking about my friend's birthday tomorrow night. Ended up missing a different friend's birthday because of having the COVID.
Yeah. Yepper. Karen's the queen of super spreading.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
just,
about PPE on April 1st when I did that little thing last year that made Bobby and Larry so mad. Oh,
wait, now
God.
which thing?
I said I was thinking about PPE on April 1st, April Fool's Day, because remember last year I did an April Fool's joke that I was going to interview him that day, and it was actually an April Fool's joke.
Oh, yeah.
Larry and Bobby were so pissed, which made it 1,000 times funnier.
That's funny. Has anybody talked to him other than Savage? I
Um,
I know Bobby saw him, but they didn't really speak. I think Bobby was dealing, and then he was at the table, but then he went somewhere else. So I don't know.
yeah. Well, and I thought there was another time when Bobby was just sat down to play, and then and PP wasn't at the table. He was like in the went to the bathroom or whatever, and then Bobby had been put at that table, and then PPE came. And of course, Bobby didn't know whose stack of chips that was, and when PPE saw him, he just gave him a little head nod, and they never even talked. And then Bobby said he racked up his chips like in a hand or two and left. Like,
Okay,
what?
that's what I'm thinking about. I had it
Yeah,
wrong about it. He was dealing. Yeah, that's the story I heard.
yeah, which it's so weird. But I don't know if he moved to. Somebody was saying he moved to Las Vegas. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't imagine it being true because I'm pretty sure he worked for his mom.
Yeah, I never knew. I think he was managing some properties, but I couldn't remember what he did exactly.
Yeah, for he was for his mom. Those were
Yeah.
part of her deal. So I don't know. I don't know if he moved to Vegas or not. Hey, Veronica. Hey, ASG. Hey, Todd Rizzo. Todd's probably in the cop car tonight. That's why he's probably not coming up here to talk to us. Be safe out there on those roads, Todd. I got to see him in his uniform when I was in Cincinnati.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw the picture, I think.
yeah. No, I didn't get one with him
Oh,
because he actually was working and I was in the middle of the main event. And so we didn't sneak a picture. But next time, hope you're doing well, Veronica. I'll tell you what, I was telling Riz, I was really impressed with Cincinnati. Like it was clean. I didn't see one homeless person when I was there. And that says a lot about that city. And I know because I think I've talked to even Todd about it, but somebody else in the space or something about their the programs that they offer for the homeless are very advanced and very proactive. So kudos to Cincinnati.
apparently there was a space last night, which I don't go into Omar spaces, so I hear about them when people talk about them. But occasionally I'll get in there, but I mean it's just so boring. I've moved on from it, but
Hmm.
apparently they're just rehashing the apostle stuff.
Oh my God, I got text messages. I was so glad I went to sleep. Like I went into Elf Space and I think I fell asleep within like 3 minutes of going into that space last night. I was out, but I did get some messages this morning. Well, they probably sent them to me last night, but I didn't see them until this morning. But hey, Frank, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, any of you guys having a hard time logging into ACR?
Yes, I just sat on ACR for an hour and a half because I was in the middle of a tournament when it went down. And then finally, we got a message that said, "You're being refunded the money. Get lost."
Yeah,
Oh,
they've tweeted about it.
Yeah,
oh.
we were at our table an hour and a half waiting for it to get fixed before they sent us a message saying, you don't have to wait here any longer. We're going to refund the money. Hour and a half.
All right, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy. I was not a happy camper. I already want to scratch my eyes out playing online, and now I'm waiting. I'm sitting here at a table and not playing one damn hand for an hour and a half. I was not a happy camper. It's
I would have been playing because Thursday's my normal one of my normal stream play days. So the only tiny silver lining in me being so sick is I didn't get interrupted playing.
believe me, you are very lucky in that regard. It's just annoying because I do everything to speed the process up. I register late so that I'm not in this long a tournament, because I just want it to be quick. Oh, and then we sat there for an hour and a half looking at our screens, going, "Are they going to tell us something soon?" And every once in a while, somebody would send up an emoji of the mad face or the head blowing up. Oh, Jesus. I can't do this, Karen. I'm not, I'm just not made to do online.
Well, I enjoy live better, but um, I like online, and I sort of see it as getting some extra practice in.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, I get it.
but
I
but I like
totally agree
in
with that.
person.
It just is not like I totally agree. Like back when I first started playing poker, I literally for 12 or 18 months played Zynga poker every day for billions of hours. And I'll tell you right now, I tell people all the time when somebody new asks me what should they do, play online free poker because you just like get the mechanics of the game. You recognize the board faster. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. For sure. Tweaks your game.
Yeah, now I have a huge database of hand histories. Now, I haven't done much with it yet, but I do plan to now that I've gotten better at all the tools. I want to kind of look at some leaks
Sure.
and look at my data.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just to me it's like watching paint dry. Like I'm want to reach through the screen for especially these people that let their time banks run all the way out every turn. I just want to reach through my screen, like tap them on the shoulder. Could you take your turn now, please?
I think I'm gonna get off and maybe go try to take a bath and see if I'll feel a little better.
Oh, I bet you will. I hope you do. And thanks for dropping in. And, I'm far away, but, if you need me, I'll drop up
Thank
there.
you.
I'm not
Oh, you're
coming
so
in.
sweet.
I'll set it on your front porch. I'm not coming
I
in, but uh, I know
appreciate it.
you got good help up there. But I feel better soon, and I'm gonna end this space. So good night. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. Karen, take care.
Good night. Talk
All
soon.
right, bye.
Bye.